years, and she passed away last month. And I was having he gave me the whole testimony. But the point is that it was it was like, thank you for snoring online. And I went, really? Really? Really?
You're welcome.
I was like, I didn't know that I did any. I just fell asleep, and I'm overweight, so I snore. But
hey, we got the cash up Megan 47. I think that's what it is. I think
no, it's Megan 440.
440. You should have told him, like, listen, you should, hit me with the cash.
No, I never heard from him again. I never heard from him again. I never heard from him again. But the point is that. I like, you never know. You never know and when you said that we're never going to change anything, you never know what you are changing. You never, like, the good and the bad. Like somebody for whatever reason.
But what I mean with that was like about the case. I needed,
yeah.
I needed, like, and I did learn that from you, because I was like, you know what, though, it makes sense, because it's like, dude, like, okay, we could think whatever we think, and yeah, whatever investigation, and yeah, I know whatever. All that shit is irrelevant at the end of the day, because again, at the end of the day, it's really nothing that I could do besides talking about it. And then when I see that talking about it is affecting my own personal life, I need to leave it alone. And that's exactly what I did. Like I saw myself crying. It was like a year ago when it was my last Kiely Rodni live stream with Maritza. It was me, Maritza, and Speak by Holden. And I was crying. I was drinking my tears, my tears, and then when I rewatched it, I was like, yeah, I need to stop. And I haven't, like, now, and it's because he's the
well, you realize, and like
the end of 2025, and
well, you're also really, like you said earlier, you realize that they're people, that we are people, and that, like, we're not just actors on a TV. We're not just actors. We're not just AI. We're not just people. And like you say, like what you were saying earlier, is that and that's why I have such a hard time watching the, like, Dateline and everything else, is because, I know what those people go through. I know what, like, they're showing the good side. They're only showing the good side on Dateline. Like, they're saying this is what happened. But how many of those people, that are coming forward are being chastised? How many of those, like, when they're too afraid to show their face? Why are they too afraid to show their face? Who are they afraid of? What are they, when you all go, oh, show your face, just show who you are. Well, now I look at them and I go, if that would be, that would probably be my biggest frustration, was that I didn't give a fake name the first day. Like, I just said my name because I didn't know, and I would have rather have said anonymous. If
you should have get yourself like what you call it, a celebrity name.
I know. I could have come up with, like, a stripper name or anything. Like, I could have been Candy Whistle.
Melissa Gallardo.
like famous actor from Brazil. Like, you don't know me, but I'm him. Yeah, like, I could have had, but my biggest thing is, like, anonymously now, I get it. I get why people want it.
You didn't thought about it. You just wanted to help. That's it.
Yeah.
You did not know. You did not know that the people would react like that. You know what I mean?
Jrod, I can remember the day. And it was such a weird day because I was driving around looking for Kiely, and I drove around the whole lake, all the lakes. I drove around all of Prosser, all of Boca, and I was out there driving around, and I drove around the whole lake. And I finally looked at the water and went, could she be in the water? Like, it was
I could only imagine the feeling.
And I was just like, it took me like 2 or 3 days to get, could she be in the water? Like, is that where this is? And I sat there and I went, why are we not doing anything with the water at this point in time? Why are we ignoring the water?
How you felt when they found her? Like knowing that you literally thought about it.
Oh, I cried. Yeah. I cried. I mean, when I first found out, I cried. I mean, my friend texted me and they said they found her, and I cried. It was, I looked for her. Like, I really, really, like, yeah. Like, I honestly tell you this. And it sounds bad, but it's the truth. I mean, here I think this little girl is 16 years old and a prodigy in her own right, and she's going places and everything else, but she's got a little wild streak in her, and she wants to go have some fun. So I really thought that, she, in my heart of hearts, I'm like, she's off having fun somewhere.
Right.
She's already missed her curfew, and she knows she's going to college, and she knows that she's in trouble, and she's probably going to lose her car, and she's probably going to, she's going to get grounded until she goes to college, and all these things. Whatever, all those things. And I find, like, when I like looked at the water that day, and I went, could she be in the water? And it was obviously it was like 3 days into the looking, or 4 or 5 days of me looking for Kiely, maybe a week. And I
But
just,
I bet you would be like, what? Why even gonna think that when I see you see divers and you
yeah,
see,
yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
well, no, and they, well, the biggest thing was, and like you all say, it was only, the water. The biggest thing, there were so many things that had worked against normal everyday life at that point in time, because we had a huge winter that summer. We had a nice winter before, so the lake was 100% full. It was, all of the, everything was, everything was big, everything was, blooming, everything was big. It was just, everything was at its peak of growth for that time of year. It was hot. It was hot August nights. There's so many things that could have, could happen, or could maybe happen, or whatever. I mean, like, I remember.
Megan,
I remember.
you see the lake, because you were saying that the lake was like healthy type of, like, on the crescent and stuff. I seen it right after. I don't know if they did lower the levels purposely or whatnot.
No, what happened was is that Boca drops significantly, or Prosser. They will, like, that there, because it's a reservoir. So all that is drinking water that goes. Now, I don't know the water rights. I don't know where it all goes, and I don't know.
Right, right.
I don't know anything about that. I know people have gone through that, but it is the drinking water. So it's very, and it's filtered and everything else to where it goes and all that kind of stuff. But it's a reservoir, and so what happens is it evaporates. So it will drop, and so and they let out water, or it will let out the water if needed to be let out, and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying that particular lake. I'm just saying all the lakes, and they will let out the water if they're too high. There's a rim level where it's supposed to be at, and so it gets to a level where it won't flood and all that kind of stuff. So, and out there it can't flood because it has other places to go. But so the water was just, it was very, it was right at the end of summer, so it hadn't started to drop. So I think that, and I think that all of the, this is my opinion only, not what I don't, there was no, I don't think that they thought this. I just think that they were like, well, if we have it, we're going to do we're going to look in the water, but we're going to make our primary searches everywhere else other than the water, because it's such a, like you said, they would call AWP in, they were going to come in and see what they could do and everything else. But the water had dropped significantly. I think I heard it when it dropped like 9 feet. And so, or 7 feet or something like that.
I was thinking that if AWP wouldn't found her, y'all wouldn't found her anyway.
Oh yeah, within about 2 more weeks, I believe the water would have dropped, and so that's what I'm saying. I don't know if there was a conversation in the back, in a back room in the FBI and all that kind of stuff, where they were like, well, we can search for as much as we can search for, and we're just going to have to keep waiting for